What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? How y'all doing? Happy Father's Day. Hold on, let me get everybody in from Instagram as well. Happy Father's Day to everyone. Hopefully, everybody's having a great Father's Day out there. It is a hold on, yeah, Instagram is on. This is a special event, not necessarily last minute, but something that has been in the workings for quite some time. That we finally coordinated everybody's schedule to be able to have this discussion and get this have this discussion openly, get things out in the air, any type of misunderstandings in reference to the process, not misunderstandings towards the gentleman who will be speaking tonight. We're going to be talking about this transfer portal on the high school level and other football stuff too. In case people think, oh, it's just a high school portal thing. That's we'll be talking about just the overall process. The beauty of what you're going to be hearing today, and from the gentleman that you will be hearing from, all of their sons have made it into the 3%. Okay, so when you hear me talking about high school athletics, the one thing I like to do is always give facts. My goal is to deal with the facts. The numbers never lie. On average, in North Carolina, there are roughly 7,190 freshmen. So seniors. I'm sorry. We usually deal in that area of about 7,000 seniors that graduate every year that play football alone. I'm just talking about football. I'm not talking about any other sports. Of that 7,000, usually we have between 350 student athletes that end up going to play college ball, and that's on any level. That's not just P4. That's D1 to D3 NAIA as well. So roughly 300 to 350. Last year we had 364. The year before that it was roughly 275, et cetera, et cetera. So as you can see, like, you can go do a Google search or get on Chat or Claude. It'll give you all the numbers of how many students we've had. And I did that search and that work. And it's about 3.7% of the student athletes who move on, right? 3.7. So we'll just take that to 3%. So there's a 97% group of student athletes that don't even move on. Something that we need to talk about now also is already there are 58 students who have signed and committed. So if we look at the average of the sign and the committed, we have roughly 250 more left. And we see people who are getting those offers. We see people who are getting those the phone calls and making those after a great conversation with such and such, blah 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 blah. So when we boil all this down, roughly about 350 students will continue. That leaves how many more left? Over 6,000 more student athletes in the senior year who will not move on, or maybe not have the opportunity, or may not be able to move, or may not be able to get into a place of visibility, et cetera, et cetera. So this is what we're talking about today. How do we fix that? What's the best way to fix it? Is it transferring? Is it moving? Is it, what is all that? But what you will hear from, or who you will hear from today, and I think it is very important and valid to state this, you are hearing from three men whose sons are in the 3%. So you're going to hear from Marquise Bryant. He's going to Kentucky, SEC. You're going to hear from Ivan Deloach. His son is at Rutgers. You're also going to hear from Richard Ziegler. His son is at Central. All D1 guys, right? So these men have, well, one's going through the process, and the other two have already been through the process. So when these men are speaking, the respect that we should give, especially if we have student athletes who aren't in the 3% yet, is the fact that their sons have done it. These men have credibility, and they have their opinions matter because their sons are already crossing the board. All right. So I wanted to lay that final piece down before bringing them in, because the first thing people look to do is discredit information when it doesn't specifically agree to them. But what you have to do in this situation is realize all three of these men are watching their sons play at a high level of football, Division I football, and they're already in. So if your kid's not in yet, you might be able to pick up some gems from these guys as we move forward. So the way this will go is we're going to kind of do this ESPN style. I'm going to be more so the moderator. Every now and again, I might play devil's advocate because we do have some conflicting styles. As far as opinions on this transferring thing and how it should go and what it should go. And then there are areas also that we all unanimously agree. So I'm not going to hold anybody any longer. We're just going to go ahead and bring in each man. We have Marquise Bryant, we have Ivan Deloach, and we have Richard Ziegler. How you all doing today?
Doing great, Ken. How are you?
Well. Happy Father's Day to you guys and everybody out there, all the dads.
How you doing, Coach Block?
Oh man, I'm good. Happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day. All right, so let's talk about it. Also, I did want to mention, if you do want to join in, and let's say you can't get on the stream and you just want to make a call, I am connected so that you can give me a call at the number that's scrolling at the bottom of the screen, and I can lock you in and we can hear you. We won't be able to see you, but we can hear you as well. So the first thing, let's just start at the top, and we will start with Mr. Bryant. Just introduce yourself to the people. Tell us a little bit about, where your son is headed to, and then give us a small piece about the journey that you are experiencing currently in this new era of NIL and all this other stuff. Just tell the people a little bit about what your son specifically is experiencing on this recruiting journey and what you as a parent are experiencing on this recruiting journey.
Okay, my name is Mark Bryant, and of course, my son is Marquise Bryant. He currently attends Roseville High School, and he's going to Kentucky University, prayerfully in the fall. In the winter in January. On this recruiting trail, I have experienced the highs and the lows. It's not an easy journey. I sit back and I've listened to Coach Block's podcast, and a lot of times we think this journey happens overnight, but it doesn't. My son have told me at a young age that he wanted to play football, and I sit him down. He probably didn't understand at the time, but I sit him down and I told him, these are the steps and this is the process that we got to do. Mm-hmm. So on this journey, I just mapped out a plan like most of the fathers that I know that's on this podcast have done. My son has been playing football since 7 years old, and now we're here. So I just thank God that he's able to continue his college academics and his college football at the University of Kentucky. He trained when my son first started. He was training 3 times a day. People told me I was crazy at 8 years old. They was like, "Oh man, you got him training too much. He's this, he's that. He doesn't have any time to play. He doesn't have any time for this." But at the end of the day, now we're here. So the way that I looked at it is he's going to have that many more hours than the next person that he's playing beside. Mm-hmm. So when we get to this point, when he starts to slack off, because we all our kids are teenagers, they don't know what they want to do. But the hours that we put in, how I looked at it is he'll be ready for this journey. Then I looked at like all the greats, like you see Serena Williams, the LaMelo, the Melo Ball guys, and Michael Jackson. And not saying that my son are those guys, but what I am saying is a lot of parents take heat for when they are hard on their kids for trying to get them to the next level. Mm-hmm. They call me a fanatic when I'm at the game because I'm hollering and screaming, but I'm only hollering and screaming because he put in the work and he put in the time. So I don't want him to go out there and be less than what he can be. So
absolutely.
I'll take to Deloach and let him from there.
Cool. And the one thing I do want to just give you your props on is following your own path. One of the things that I say to all the parents and all the players is please stop comparing yourself to others.
Right.
Do what's best for your child and your family to see your student athlete be able to succeed. And if that's training the way you're training, or making sure you hire a personal trainer, all that stuff, do the necessary steps for your child, but do it based upon what you all sit down and agree
exactly
as a family. And so with that, I'm going to go to the next gentleman, which is Deloach. And Deloach, tell us a little bit about yourself and the process that your son went through, and because he's at Rutgers now, so you can talk about being there in that spot. So give us a little bit about him before we get into Zig and talk about this transfer and stuff.
Okay, yes, my name is Ivan Deloach. My son is Isaiah Deloach, and he plays football at Rutgers University, which is in the Big Ten. And for him, pretty much just like Mark, when my son was 6 years old, I took him to play flag football. That's what me and my wife agreed to.
Mm-hmm.
And after the first practice, I was like, son, how you like football? And he was like, Dad, I don't like it. And my heart dropped because I was like, oh my Lord, my son don't like football because I'm a football guy. And then he said, well, I don't like it because I can't hit nobody.
Mm-hmm.
So he was one of those people that like contact. So after that, I went ahead and got him mouthpiece, the cup and everything, helmet, shoulder pads, so he could play football. But similar to Mark, also something you could probably gonna find out about all these kids is he told me that he didn't care. He wanted to play college football on the highest level.
Mm-hmm.
So I gave him an idea about what it was going to take to get there, and we started training. Like he said, we was doing 2, 3 times a day. My son ran track, and I knew he was different and serious. Was we was starting to do early morning workouts because he had class throughout the day. He did early college, and then he did his sports at Hillside because that's where we live at in that district. I mean, he was like, the trainer was like, look, we got to be at the field at 5:30 in the morning so we can
Mm-hmm.
get it in before his classes in the morning. And when he started to wake me up at 5 o'clock so that I could be ready to have him in on time for his workouts, I say, well, maybe he is serious about this.
Mm-hmm.
So we started just training and him getting better. And he didn't get his first offer until the January after his junior football season.
Mm-hmm.
So several people had offers way before him, but after that, this took off
Mm-hmm.
like instantly. It just took off, and but then he just stayed. Continued to grind and work hard and stay humble and be thankful and appreciate the ground that he had covered. Um, that's
Mhm.
pretty much it. And in college now, he appreciates all those daily grinds, getting up early in the morning because now, I mean, he has to be up. 3 days a week, he has to be at the facility at 7 a.m. and 2 days at 6 a.m. When I say be at the facility, that means he's there way earlier than that because they have to be taped and ready to go
Mm-hmm.
at those times. So it's not a time where, well, I'm gonna get there at 7. No, you have to be. That's when practice starts. That's when meetings start. And when
Yeah.
you go to those meetings, you have to be ready then. There's no going back to get taped or eat after that. You have to be ready to go at those times.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
going to see.
All right. And so now we're going to jump into the next gentleman who I actually assisted along the way. Coach Zig.
Hey, look, Ken, the way this started, I appreciate Brother Brian laying the foundation on how much work Marquise put in and Isaiah following suit. But I'm be honest with you,
Mm-hmm.
this this is a journey. This is a long
Yes.
journey. I mean, when you see the passion in your child's eye, you know as a parent, you have to do your best to put them where they need to be.
Correct.
Ryan went to Cardinal Gibbons. He started on JV. He moved up to varsity. He played his first state championship game. As a matter of fact, he caught the kickoff. And from then, his development at Cardinal Gibbons has been nothing less than exceptional. You
Mm-hmm.
were there, Block. You were there right after we played the state championship. We were looking at film, we were training, we were putting that time in. And it was like his senior year, we had schools looking at us. They caught friendly fire. He caught a helmet to the knee, and all of a sudden recruiting went cold.
Mm-hmm.
NCCU stayed
Mhm.
constant. They still wanted us. They showed us love. And as you always say, go where you're wanted, um, and who wants you.
Mm-hmm.
And that worked out for us. He's there at Central now. His freshman year, he played as a freshman. He did his thing. His sophomore year, injury bug hit him. So we're going into our redshirt sophomore year. So again, we're looking for big things. What's getting me, and I'm really jumping ahead. you have to put in a hard work block. I mean, when you hear the kids, Isaiah and Marquise, they put in hours and hours of work.
Yes.
You see these kids who want to jump to other schools because they
Hey,
see these.
oh, excuse me, Zig, 1 second.
Yeah,
Deloach, man, keep your screen on, man. You keep bouncing the screen, you causing the screen to bounce around, man. What you got going on, bro?
I'm sorry.
Come on, man. You making me look like I don't know what I'm doing on these sticks,
Oh,
bro.
I'm sorry.
Golly.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm gonna stop, man. I asked a question earlier and somebody answered it, so that's what I was answering.
I got you. Every time you take your screen off and on, it flicks the screen. Hey, man, stay still, man. You got
Oh, I'm sorry.
it's all right. Go ahead, Zig. Go ahead and finish up.
no. Like I said, it just brings me straight to the meat of it. These kids put in the hard work. They put in the time. They did the early morning practices. You know, when they're tired, they didn't want to do anything. They kept pushing themselves. A lot of these kids will now want to transfer because a particular school has a reputation of everybody getting a
Wait, you
scholarship
going too
or
far,
offer.
Zig? We gonna get there. This is just an introduction of who everybody is, man. You ready to go in, ain't you?
Block, I started this stuff and I'm passionate about it. You know that.
I just want people to know first before we start this plane, before we take off. I just want people to know who y'all are and who y'all kids are, so that they know that there's some credibility behind what you're talking, and it ain't just some random guys that got on. Because it is important for those who may have tuned in, or for people who jumping in and out. The reason why we have selected the folks that we have on is because their sons are either about to go to that level or are currently at that level. So that there is a huge amount of credibility when you have to go through this recruiting process. And I can promise you, between the three gentlemen who just talked, neither one of them, even though they're going to play college ball or are currently playing college ball at a Division I level, none of them have the same story from beginning to end. Their journeys are significantly different to get to this destination. So that's the reason why I have that there. Zig, relax. We're gonna get there, man. I'm gonna let you
appreciate you. Hey, so now we got brother Kenny Crump on the line too.
What's up? Go ahead, Deloach, and then we'll get to Coach Crump.
Well, I wanted to add that. I also want to add that directly for me and Brother Bryant and Brother Ziegler and Brother Crump, now that he's on, we have all contributed to helping other kids secure college scholarships for different sports, not just football, academically and athletically, going to college for free and helping them along the way.
Yes,
so there is no gatekeeping here. I'm not tied in where my son goes to school. If I can help you through a connection that I've made, we all have contributed and had those type of conversations with other people with their kids. So the stuff you're about to hear isn't about us directly. It's about the overall better, the goal of high school athletics and academics.
Yes, sir.
I just want to add that.
Cool. Coach Crump, jump in here, man. Introduce yourself to everybody. Tell us who you are and a little bit about yourself before we jump into this. Zig already took us there, but we're going to talk about transferring and high school transfer portal. Uh-oh. Can't hear you. Make sure you ain't got your mute on your side. You're clear on my side. Still can't hear you. Can't hear you. It ain't on our side. You might have check to see if your mute monster is on. That mute button. And if you need to, you can log back out and come back in. But just try to log out and log back in. And what we'll do while Coach Crump is doing that, we'll jump into, since Zig already kind of sparked this a little bit, we'll go ahead and jump into this. So the title of this was high school transferring, good or bad, yes or no? Like what side are you on? And as the quote unquote moderator of this, I will start that I have no specific bias towards it. Do I necessarily like the culture? I do not. But I also feel as though no one should have the ability to dictate to a parent what they can or cannot do with their child. So the one thing I would like people to understand about transferring is there is a right and a wrong way to do it if you're going to do it, and educate yourself on the process so that your child does not get caught in a position where they end up 365. And what 365 means is you are put in a position where your son will be deemed ineligible for the next athletic season. So if you're going to do this and you're going to move and transfer your child and do those type of things, understand the rules, understand the risk, and then at that time, go ahead and move your child accordingly, so that you don't affect your child's overall outcome of their high school experience. Now, I'm gonna leave it at that. Every now and again, I'll join in and plug some questions in, and see what I can do as far as playing devil's advocate and poke the bear. I might leave that up to Zig alone because that's what he likes to do. But I do think I'm gonna start with Brother Bryant, because he has a great theory of like the different categories of transferring and where some people kind of cross the lines and it gets a little bit murky with the vision of what transferring and why transferring. So I'm gonna let Brother Bryant start because I like his philosophies, and then we'll go from there. So Brother Bryant, go ahead and jump in on what you were telling us about the ideology of the different types of transferring.
Right. So when there's transferring, you have transferring, then you have relocation.
Mm-hmm.
And Wake County, although Wake County student assignments say you can transfer, there's a window when you transfer to a magnet school.
Mm-hmm.
When you transfer to a magnet school, a lot of times you have to transfer by a certain date, which is like in January, you have to apply by a certain date in January.
Mm-hmm.
Then they let you know whether you can get in or you can't. Then you have certain schools that have trade programs up there on the website. It say, well, if our school doesn't offer this trade program, you can transfer into the school to take this transfer program. Well, I'm here to let you guys know that when you put those requests in, 9 out of 10 times, Wake County is going to reject that transfer. Wake County just don't believe in letting kids transfer. That's the right way. Now, when you're relocating, they tell you that you have to relocate and pay taxes in the district that you in. Mm-hmm. And if you own a house in another district and then you try to relocate, say go get a lease or an apartment, but you say you own a house in Knightdale, they're not going to let you do it because they're going to go in and they're going to pull your name at the clerk of courts, the deed of courts, and they're going to pull your deed up and they're going to see that you own a house. Mm-hmm. And then when they see that you own that house in that district, they're going to say your kid is ineligible for coming to this school. And that's just what it's going to be. Now, if you don't own a house, it's a little bit more easier for you to transfer in the school because you're leasing. You're not tied to anything. So you can legally get out of that lease and then go into that district and relocate into that school. See, that's how the transfer thing works. Now, for the people that's just getting leases and then say, oh, I'm gonna still live here and then go over to the school right here. Now, that's between that parent and that's between that school. That if you get caught, then you got to deal with the consequences. But right way to do it is to pack up and relocate to that area. Even if you own a house in Charlotte, right? A kid can try to come to Roseville. If a kid owns a house in Charlotte and they go on that computer and they pull up that parent's name and it's associated with they own a house in Charlotte, they're not even going to let that kid, they're going to give that kid a hard time of coming to that school, even if their parent's name is associated with that kid in Charlotte.
Agreed.
That's just what it is. So we have to be talking about the same thing when we're talking about this transfer. That's my point.
And valid points. And the reason why I say valid points is because I have shared it before and I'll share it again. When we were at Corneth Holders, the one thing we did, we had a guy come in from Heritage. It was a quarterback. And when I tell you that family went through a lot just to have their kid there. So literally they had people show up, make sure like the school counselor showed up and walked through, or social worker, I'm sorry, walked through the house to make sure there was clothes there, living there, make sure the address was right, make sure everybody who was supposed to be on the lease was on the lease, was living there, et cetera, et cetera. And then there was random pop-ups throughout the year to make sure that that was valid. So yes, there is a process in this, and I'm glad you mentioned it. So I'm gonna spin this over to Zig now, because Zig, this is what you wanted. Now we in it now. So now let's get into the mindset of transferring, because at times you believe, even like we've laid the groundwork with Bryant talking about the actual processes, but your question even starts before that of why are we transferring? Am I right or am I wrong?
No, you're exactly right. You're exactly right, because I see a lot of kids transferring, and for lack of a better word, there's no rhyme or reason.
Mhm.
Because if you're the man where you are now, why would you go to another school to be just one of the guys? Is it the allure of, because so many of these kids are getting offers and that maybe you can get an offer? And I have a problem with that, because you're losing everything. As far as, are you transferring for educational reasons, or are you just transferring for the exposure?
Mhm.
We were talking to a coach, and it became frustrating to hear that a lot of kids are transferring and aren't concerned about winning. They're more interested in getting the bag. Now, Brother Mark, he's at Roseville University. That history precedes itself as far as who goes there, and all the kids that are getting offers. You
Yes.
look at Millbrook. I mean, they have a lot of heavy hitters. When
Mhm.
you look at Southern, what Southern's done here in the area, it's a lot. They just had two kids who committed to Duke.
Mhm.
What about some of the schools here who aren't as recognizable? I mean, the kids aren't getting the offers like they thought or think they should.
Mhm.
Those programs look very attractive. And
Mhm.
so when those programs look attractive, naturally they want to transfer. But it's not fair to the kids who put the time in at those schools, at the Southern, at the Southerns, at the Millbrooks, at the Roseville, who've
Mhm.
been there from day one. Because now
Okay.
all of a sudden they get displaced. And it's
Mhm.
unfortunate, because kids then become collateral damage. And
Mhm.
that's something that I don't like. That I don't like using that term, but
Yeah.
that's what happens. Who takes care of the kids then?
So I'm going to play devil's advocate right now before we flip it to Deloach and ask this question just in general. Is it the concern of the school and the program when you have somebody who does it the right way and they come in, and then now that kid is better than maybe the next guy that was up, right? Is it the concern of the school or the parents at the, like, who best man's supposed to play ball, right? So what does that look like to the school, to the program, to the fans, if a guy comes in, their parents do everything the right way, he is the best man for the job, but a coach doesn't play him? So I'm asking because, once again, just playing devil's advocate of, I get what you're saying and I completely understand, but as a coach, what I have to say is I got to play the best people who are ready to perform. And if the guy shows up over the summertime, or let's say in the spring, and he starts working out and he's a guy, uh, should
But
I not play him?
no, I want you to. I think you should.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead, Deloach. Uh-oh, Deloach. Did you hit
Okay.
something? Can't hear you.
Act like people know the probability of a kid moving right across the street
Mm-hmm.
to go to another school is kind of slim to none. It might be a few in those
Mm-hmm.
situations where that will honestly be the answer. But the problem that comes when they're doing it the right way, if everything is all the way on the up and up, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? If I know that didn't you didn't own a house in this district, but you end up having to move to another district, that's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem comes when you're in a smaller city or a larger city,
Mm-hmm.
but you are coming to my school, what I consider my school, I'm gonna say the school that I've been in as a parent,
Mm-hmm.
and where I pay taxes in or whatever, how much it costs to buy this house to live on this side of town, and I'm living in this district, but you are acting like you live in this district. but you're really staying in the other district and you're pretty much rubbing it in the person who's paying X amount of dollars face.
Mm-hmm.
That's when parents become upset and they want to voice their opinion.
Yeah.
And I agree wholeheartedly. I get it. If as a parent, if you want to get your child in a better situation to try to achieve goals that they want, I get it totally. But do it the right way, like Brother Brian said. Move, pack up and move. Because if you don't do that, then you leave room for something bad to happen. You can't expect, it's your right to move your child, but it's also the right of the parent who's been paying X amount of dollars or whatever to say, hey, you're not just going to come use this situation what I'm paying for. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to turn you in.
Yeah.
And like you said, you got to deal with the consequences if you don't do it the right way.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be willing to go to the lengths that it would need to be gone to achieve the goal that you want to achieve. And to
Okay.
piggyback off of what Brother Ziegler was saying is we have to, no matter how we do it, we have to, for me, the troubling piece is what high school sports to me, to watch it turn to what it's turned into now
Mm-hmm.
is kind of troubling to me because of the relationships that I built
Right.
playing high school athletics and how the relationships, how close we are, and how we greet each other when we see each other, and
Mm-hmm.
how we all like each other, and we all have a different type of relationship.
Yeah.
And imagine, me and Brother Ziegler said this before. He mentioned it. I said, that is a very great topic. Where are you going to go to your high school class reunion at? Where are you going to feel comfortable going?
Yeah.
You got to
Yeah.
put your feet down somewhere.
Yeah.
You can't always want to choose, but if you're going to choose it, if you do it the right way, then people are not going to be mad at you. But when
Okay.
you do it the wrong way, then people are going to feel some type of way about it. Like, I'm not going to be mad at somebody who had to move for whatever job or whatever it may be, and move if my housing situation changed here and I had to move somewhere else. But
Mm-hmm.
if people know that you really just trying to circumvent the system, then people going to feel that they're going to have their opinions. And unfortunately, for a lot of these kids, and I'm sure you're going to touch this later, is we invite this criticism and this type of ridicule because we post everything on social media.
Hold on, we're gonna get there.
Joe,
Block. To your point, what you
Yeah.
asked, if that person comes in
Uh-huh.
and he's good, then let there be a healthy competition.
Mm-hmm.
The ball won't lie in that case. If
Yeah.
everything's done correctly, ball won't lie. Let it be a healthy competition.
Okay.
But there's things going on that it's makes things so questionable, as Brother Deloach was saying. But you can move.
Let me ask this question, and I'm gonna put this to Mr. Bryant, because
Yeah.
Roseville is a right now it's a factory, right? And it's a position that Coach
Mhm.
Rackley has put Roseville in a position where it's plug and play, right? Next man up mentality. We're training the young guys up so that people can come in and play. But people think, and because I'm asking this question because you're in Roseville, people think just
Mhm.
because you transfer to Roseville that there's a magic wand that everybody gets an offer. They are like Oprah, you get an offer, you get an offer, you get an offer. And if you can, I would like for you to dispel that that rumor, because I do think that downplays the work that the student athletes who are in Roseville, who
Mhm.
started in Roseville as a sophomore or a freshman, and then now they're juniors and seniors, and they put that work in. I think it discredits the amount of work that they put in to even be in the position that they are in. So
Mhm.
tell us, as an out for a person who's an outsider or a parent. Let's say you and I are parents, and we're talking on the phone, and I'm telling you, hey man, I'm thinking about transferring my son. As a person who has gone through Roseville, and your son's now at that level, talk to that parent about their expectations to make sure they're not delusional in their train of thought of transferring to a school like Roseville.
Right. So I'll start from the point of, and I get this question all the time. Parents calling me, hey, I want to move to Roseville. The best thing I can tell you, Roseville is going to give you the exposure. Roseville is going to give you the exposure because That's just what it is. Roseville is a hot spot right now.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just call it what it is. You have Roseville, you got Southeast, you got Cardinal Gibbons,
Millbrook.
Millbrook.
Mm-hmm.
Those are, when college coaches come, those are mainly the 4 schools that they're stopping at. I'm talking about in Wake County.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying they don't go to other schools in other places, but those are the schools that they are stopping at. And the reason why they're stopping at the school is because it's a little bit deeper than just, you can come to Roseville and get a scholarship. These coaches, they pull up information on their kid. When we talk about the internet, they're pulling up this information on every kid that's coming into this school.
Mm-hmm.
So if a kid comes to this school and he has the talent, and you got 5 college coaches standing on the sideline watching this practice, why wouldn't a kid want to come to Roseville to be a part of that?
Right.
I mean, why wouldn't they want to come? Now, does that mean that a college coach is going to offer that kid? No, but he has the opportunity to get an offer at Roseville more opposed than he has an opportunity to get an offer at another school.
Mm-hmm.
Wake Forest is another school where college coaches is going.
Mm-hmm.
But that's been like that for years just because of the coaching. They
Correct.
have a great coach over there. You know what I'm saying? So when you have a kid like a Quentin Cipher or a Xavier Hassan or a Rashard Streets or a Amir Brown or AJ Roberts, you know what I'm saying? A Grayson over at Southeast, kids are on social media. They want to be a part of that. And parents listen to their kids. And there's no parent out here that doesn't want the best for their kid. That's just what it is. And then the last piece to this, coach, is I'm gonna say is all these kids play together. So the kids know, you know, a kid can say, "Oh, I'm better than that kid right there at Roseville. I played with him on this youth football team right there. I'm gonna transfer to Roseville, and I'm gonna get me an offer."
Yeah,
that's just what it is.
Yeah. Now,
That's how
with the culture, because we're going. Well, first, let me see if we can get. He left out of the room. I was going to try to get Coach K back in. Now, let's talk about with the culture, and I'm gonna stay with you because you started it with the social media aspect. And one thing I have said, and now I'm going to say some names, or not names, but at least a page. I have talked to NC Sports page and have said multiple times, "Hey man, do what you do," because other platforms have done it and currently do it, and nobody say anything roughly about it. So, you know, On3 will mention it, 24/7 Sports will mention it, Rivals, which is now On3, they still have the Rivals page, but they mention transferring and things like that. Nobody bats an eye. But when we do have some of these local pages, one being NC Sports page that post the transfers and they give it the ESPN feel of, you know, transfer alert, offer alert, things like that. But are we giving false hope to student athletes who probably should sit their ass down? You see what I'm saying? Like, so there are some student athletes where it's best for you might transfer to a Roseville, a Millbrook, a Cardinal Gibbons, et cetera, and end up in a worse position because you ain't going to play.
Oh, wait a minute. You're not transferring to Cardinal Gibbons.
Sorry, I forgot. Let me let the Wiz of Emerald City, because you will sit your ass out for a year at Cardinal Gibbons. I am sorry. That is
365.
But are we giving a false narrative to parents when they see this and they think that it is a magic wand that everybody is going to receive the same treatment? So therefore, I'm about it here. Should more information come similar to what we're doing, or what can we do to make sure that people are not looking at this with rose-colored glasses on? And I'm gonna stay with you to start it off, Bryant, because you are actually in it at Roseville. So
I'm gonna say I don't necessarily 100% agree with we're giving the parents a false narrative, and the reason why is because parents, before a parent transferred, most parents have done their due diligence.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Like most parents have looked into transferring to another program.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily that the parents are getting the false narrative, because if a parent say, I'm going to transfer to Roseville, I'll just use Roseville. If a parent say that I'm going to transfer to Roseville, they have already talked to 5 or 6 parents that's at Roseville before they even decide to come over there. So they know what they're getting into. So if it doesn't work out for that parent, that's on that parent. It's not necessarily on the kid. That's on the parent, because you're going to get the pros and the cons before you even look to thinking about transferring to a school. You're going to get those pros and cons. So now if you have, say, my son, he's a safety, he's going to Kentucky. If you got another parent say, well, my son is a safety, I'm going to transfer to Roseville, he already know Marquise plays at Roseville. So now if he come over to Roseville, that's on him.
Yeah.
Because he ain't going nowhere.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So now if there's a hole to be filled, that parent knows that too.
Right.
Brother Brian, real quick. Let me say something. So we just saw today, young man's getting ready to transfer, getting ready to come up here to an area school, sophomore. He played on varsity. He had 5 carries for 89 yards. He played in 11 games. Stats are what they are, but he's getting ready to come to one of the toughest conferences in the area. Why come up here? If you are a sophomore and you played on varsity, obviously you have a skill set. You're the man. You should be good. Why come up here to a school like a Roseville or Southeast Raleigh and just be another guy and compete when you have everything pretty much laid out where you are? You have a chance to compete and show what you have, show your skill set, and be recognized. And even if the team is not that good, you're still going to bring recognition to yourself because you are that good. To come up here and to play for a Clayton or a Southeast Raleigh, where people are already established, I think parents are delusional because they're not going. It's not going to be that easy. Granted, he may catch these schools get recognition, but there's no guarantee that this kid will come up here, start and play right off the jump, because he's got to go through the gauntlet. If he does come up here, start immediately, then at some point, is that fair to the kids who have actually put that time in?
So I am going to, before we answer that question, where I got Coach Crump. I think he's in now, and let me see, Coach. Can we hear you?
I'm open. Can you all hear me?
There we go.
Yes, sir.
You're in. Go ahead. Well, because Zig's about to light fire to the damn podcast right now. Zig's looking for confrontation tonight. We trying to be peaceful brothers. Zig is trying to start a damn war. But Coach Crump, if you can, man, go ahead and introduce yourself so that people know who you are when we introduce you into the conversation.
Okay, so my name is Ken Crump. I played alongside Ivan Deloach at Elizabeth City State University. I've been involved in football my entire life. I played quarterback. I have 4 boys, and actually 3 of them are playing tackle football. I have one who transitioned from the FCS to the FBS, and I have one now that's in a Division II or Virginia University. I can't say I'm not with Zig in terms of starting all this controversy, because one thing about me is I like to talk about facts. I've seen kids transition from different high schools here in the Charlotte area. I've been a part of the best 2 programs, arguably in the state of North Carolina, and they are very different. And so that's who I am. I've coached youth here in Charlotte for more than 20 years, so I know a lot of players, helped a lot of players. I have coaches' numbers in my phones. If I can help a kid, I'll do that. And so I'm just an advocate for the right thing and the right decisions for parents. Some of these high school coaches, man, they have their standard, and sometimes it's always not aligned with another kids and family. So that's who I am.
Well, then we'll let you start with the question. Then we'll go with Bryant. Then we'll finish this question with Deloach. So with what Ziegler has presented is, if you are the man and you're a sophomore at your school and you're playing, which I think people need to recognize, if you're a sophomore and you're getting adequate minutes to where you have a highlight tape and film, we can consider you to be a pretty decent player, because most sophomores in dominant programs are not playing football. So if you're at a school and you got some plays and some significant time and you're basically building a name for yourself at one school, why transfer to another school if you notice that you're already starting to get some headway? Do you suggest that should be done for parents or as a kid, or how do you assess that situation when that kid now says, I'm transferring to go be with another school where they already got dogs and all that stuff? So tell us how you think, or how the approach to that should be as a coach and also as a parent.
Well, as a parent, you do what's best for your kid. You do what's best for your kid. Being a part of the same scenario that you just presented, what you have to look at, if you have a sophomore who played and got adequate film, coming into the school, he should probably be coached on how to get better and to have some consistency. But I've seen guys in the similar situation come in and the coach say, hey, this guy got some traction. Maybe the coach didn't help him with that traction from college coaches. So they play this game and say, well, you got to earn it. I've heard coaches tell kids that you got to earn it who've earned it. And so they play these mind games with the kid who mentally, his fortitude really not grown to the adult and can understand, hey, they just want to give you some mental challenges, some mental toughness to take you through this. And by that time, man, you have a kid, he's still at the program. They got another guy who came in, they playing that guy over him when he got film. It's just a game to me, you know. I think as a parent, you sit down with that coach before the season and say, hey, coach, we had some significant minutes last year. What's your plan for my son this year? And the coach can either tell you the plan or he won't tell you. He'll have his own agenda. I just had a kid, I text Zig and Deloach yesterday, a kid who was in my building. I won't say my building, but he was transitioning out. He's a 6'4", 195-pound safety, really good kid. And he said, I'm transferring. And I was like, well, he said, well, I'm quitting football. I said, why are you quitting? And then his dad said, talk to him. And he decided to play. And he didn't have any offers at the school we were at. And then about 2 days later, he went to a camp with another kid. He had 7 Power 5 offers. And so for that kid, you know, the scenario as a parent, he did the right thing for himself. His family did the right thing because he had stayed in that environment. He wouldn't have got the opportunities.
Yeah. Now, let's. I like what you said, because I think that's going to also kind of go into Mark and how he feels as far as just exposure and opportunity is key, because I've heard you say it. So, Mark, go ahead and take the question there. You're a sophomore. You got some time. You got film, and you've been playing significant minutes as a sophomore to where you even have a highlight tape. But you're thinking now as a junior, I got to get out of here and go to a bigger stage. Talk about that, and do you agree with that avenue, or what? How do you view that point of a sophomore saying, I'm getting up out of here?
I agree with that. I agree with that point to a certain point, because as I mentioned before, this kid may have a highlight tape. He can rush for 1,500 yards, but he's not playing 8A football. He's not playing 7A football. He's not playing 6A football. He could be playing 2A football or 3A football. And unless he's Todd Gurley or unless he's Julius Peppers, he ain't no college coaches coming to check him out. That's just what it is.
Right.
I mean, I'm just being honest. So I understand what you're saying, Coach Ziegler, but that kid got to get out of that program, because he's just going to be another kid that's a sophomore kid that's good, that's in a small program that can't get the looks. And then we say, well, oh, he can go to a camp and he can, do well at a camp. It's 1,000 kids at camps. Coaches, a lot of coaches, unless, a coach pick up the phone and tell the coach at Mercer, I'm going to have this kid down here, that kid is going to be another number at that camp.
Well, see, then, Coach, Brother Brian, now here's where Ken and I always talk. That's where that player needs advocacy. I mean, how do you create advocacy for a player so that he doesn't have to move, so that he can stay there at home? How does that happen? Because
That
if you don't have someone to speak for that kid, and that he's good, what I mean, leaving the competition or running into the fire is not going. It's not going to change. It's not going to move the needle because suppose he doesn't pan out where more exposure is. What happens?
Zig,
but
I wonder, can I piggyback on that?
we're talking about more exposure, Coach Zig. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about him going into the fire. We're talking about him putting himself in a program that's going to give him more exposure. I seen a kid leave a program.
Mm-hmm.
First day he walked on the other program's yard, he had 5 offers. Whether those offers were committable or not committable, he had the interest. And those coaches are saying, I want you to come to my camp. Come to my camp so we can evaluate you to see if you're the real deal for us to be here. That's why the kid needs to leave if the coach is not advocating for the kid. And I don't understand why the coaches get mad when these kids say, I'm gonna leave your program, because they're not advocating for the kid.
Right.
So
Now I'm gonna let Deloach jump in, and then I'm gonna come back to you, Coach Crump. So hold that point. I'm gonna let Deloach jump in on this question because I know he biting the inside of his jaw. So go ahead, Deloach. You got the mute monster again.
The key word that we're saying here is you seen a kid. There are going to be unicorns involved in this, but the vast majority of the kids that are going to do this, it's going to be the end of their football careers. They're never going to play again because they're going to get out of their comfort zone and their element where there are nurturers there and people that care about them outside of football, and they're going to be left out there hanging. They're not going to have anywhere to go. They could have stayed where they were at, and at least at the worst case scenario, ended up D2 ball and getting a college education. But because they left and went somewhere, those opportunities are going to pass them by because maybe the coach has been around them the longest amount of time, know more about the kid other than football. They're going to put them in a position to be successful in life versus just football. Everything we're talking about is football, but at some point we got to add the other piece to it. Everybody's situation ain't gonna be sports, and we have to be realistic with what these kids really are. Just because we think their metrics meet a certain thing or something. Now, of course, you're gonna have the few that's gonna be able to go to another school and transfer or relocate or whatever. But the true thing back to it is people are relocating just for athletics. It has nothing to do with academics, and they could go to the new school that may be the better situation for them athletically, but they're not going to be able to handle it academically. So the key word I always ask Zig, we always had the conversation. I said, what is winning? What are we going to win at? Are we going to try to get this kid to go athletically down the road? But he got a million other issues he need to deal with other than athletics to be a successful person.
Yeah,
But we're moving the goalposts. Now we're moving the goalposts. Now we're talking about something totally different. Now we're talking about you trying to lump everything in one basket. We're talking about kids transferring for football or sports purposes. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about the academic side because a kid cannot transfer unless their parents are okay with it. That's just the bottom line. Mm-hmm. So when a parent is talking about taking a kid out of their school, a parent has hopefully looked at from A to Z. So we got to stay on the point of why is this kid transferring? This kid is transferring because he's at a school. He's not getting looks. He's not getting challenged. He ran for 1,800 yards, but he's at a 2A school. He's at a 3A school. He's at a 1A school. So let's kind of talk about.
Let me ask this question.
Hold on, before we go in, before you ask, hold that question because I want to let Coach Crump get his point in too, and then we'll go back to you, Deloach. Go ahead, Coach Crump. I think you're muted. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So Deloach said a lot of good things in that snippet. and Coach Mark. So what you got to look at, like I've seen this before too, a kid from the eastern part of the state. He came, was a 2,000-yard rusher. Let's just say he was 5'10", 180 pounds. And he came to my high school and immediately knew that he was in over his head and said, I'm moving back, because he walked into my school and you got 5'11", 6 foot, 220-pound running backs. Total different ball game. That young man was told that he was not going to see the field, and he was questioning why he transferred to our school. So
was he ill-informed then, Coach Crump?
Well, that's one of the points I was going to make, Coach Zig, is that you have to do your research on where you planning on going. For me, as a 2,000-yard rusher, as a parent, I'm going to find recruiting programs or services that can help my kid get recruited from a 2A or 1A or 7A, because I've seen a school here that's maybe 3A kid go to Carolina and do really well, but he ended up at a D2 school. So the level of competition is totally different. So the parents just need to do their research. They don't just need to jump up and move, because that's a hard thing when you go to a school and you're not even the size of the JV running backs and they can play. So you got to do your due diligence and your research, and you got to have guys like you all on these podcasts to help kids get recruited. Some people take financial advantage of these families, but that kid could probably play at maybe a lower FCS D2 school with the right services.
Go ahead, Deloach, ask your question. You had that question you said you wanted to ask.
Yeah. So when you talk about the kid, how many parents truly have the knowledge of what's going on? There's probably very few understand the true landscape of what they're getting themselves into. My point is, the unfortunate piece, which I'm probably going to address later, is sometimes they're taking the advice of people who are wanting their kids to transfer for their own personal gain. Unfortunately, now back the relocation piece, for the ones that are doing it the right way, this doesn't even account for them. It's the ones that I've seen get caught up in the spider web of what's going on between, hey, I want you to make my team better, and you come over here and making promises that they know they can't keep. So that's the ones that do it the right way. This is not for them. It's for the ones that I see to get hung out there.
So what I will say, I'm gonna jump in real quick, and then I'm gonna let y'all go ahead with it. I got another question. Is for parents who are watching, can you make it from a 2A school minimum, exposure and all that? I'm gonna tell you yes. But what you have to do is start having conversations with people who you see are on the process, so that you can then measure what the work is that you have to do. Because even though, and everybody who is on this panel has had a child in this recruiting process or is currently in the recruiting process, the core fundamental part of this is exposure. You need to be seen, and you got to get your film to somebody so you can be evaluated. Most, if not all, unless you can completely pass the eyeball test and you're just gifted by God, most people end up having to go to campus to be evaluated. The goal is to get to the opportunity of being evaluated, which is where I agree with Mr. Bryant, because sometimes certain schools make it a little bit easier to get the eyes on you. It's not that it's impossible from a smaller school, but you just might have to work your angles a little bit different. Before I go to Zig, because I know once again, Zig, cut your light on, man. You're a little dark. Can't nobody see you.
Okay, I got you.
Cut on Emerald City lights, man. Come on. Now, what I do want to say is just to Coach Crump's point as well, you need to understand what tools you have, because as far as education, I love to make sure I educate parents as well. Understand that Huddle is a serious tool right now. And on the back end of Huddle, every single school is there for you to be able to reach out to. Now, some coaches choose to do it themselves. Some coaches don't even tell kids that it's there. And if your Huddle profile is filled out with all your information and your highlight tapes and all that, you literally can click the recruiting tab and send your film to whatever school that you want to send that to. And the game has changed on how to get exposure, and it's a lot easier than what it was back in the day. But you're still, if you transfer, you're still going to be based and evaluated on the film from the previous school that you were at. So if you're a junior transferring and as a senior, you're going to be evaluated on your junior year film from the school that you left. So you still have to perform. And I say that also as a college coach, because at Shaw, if somebody said, "Oh, student XYZ transferred, he's at Millbrook now." All right, well, I need to see his Leesville film. So if I look at that Leesville film and it still don't add up, just because you transferred to Millbrook, that don't mean a damn thing to me. The film still has to be able to answer questions, and that information still has to be verified by somebody who can say that kid is legit. So I'm gonna take it to Bryant next with this question. When we talk about just the recruiting process and all that stuff, right now, do you think it's out of hand? Do you think we're at a point now where it's just about the strongest will survive? Meaning, right now we're seeing some of the same schools in the state championship. We're seeing some of the same schools in the playoffs. There's absolutely really no variety. The only way the variety was added was because we did the conference realignment, but you had schools that had 4 wins getting into the damn playoffs. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? So,
right.
What are we saying about what are we saying about the layout of what the new version of high school football is? If it's just, we up out of here, we moving, we going over here where everybody's getting right. What about the smaller schools that can't necessarily do that, or the smaller schools that suffer because of that, because they're sitting in the conference with these juggernauts, and it's like, if I do have a good kid and we play against you, basically, damn, I can pretty much count on the fact that I'm gonna see his ass on the other sideline next year. So what does that say about the landscape of high school football?
So what I'm gonna say, a lot of people are not gonna agree with this.
Okay.
This is what the powers that be have made it. They have made it. They have made this landscape. High School Association made the landscape. So if they made the landscape, parents have to use what has been laid out for them to get their kid to the next level. If you have a kid at another school and he's 6'8", 210, or 6'6", 210, and he's getting Alabama, Notre Dame, and all those offers like that, that kid don't have to leave. He don't have to leave that program because he's already set. But if you have the same kid and he's not getting those offers, and he may not be as good as that kid right there, but say he comes to Roseville or he goes to a Millbrook, iron sharpens iron. That kid is going to get better in some kind of way. And and over there they have the resources to help this kid to get into a school. What does that kid have to lose by leaving the school that he's at to go over here in the hopes of getting a D2 or D3 offer? He don't have anything to lose. His parents don't have anything to lose.
Great question. And I think
have anything to lose.
Posing that question, let's flip it. Let's go to Zig, because Zig woke up this morning and chose war. So let's go ahead and go to Zig. What do I have to lose? I'm a parent. I know my coach I got one of those coaches that tell me, I don't recruit kids. Your film will do the work. And if the film don't do the work, then you just SOL, you out of luck. So what does that say to that parent or that kid when they transfer? Like, what, they pulled a Trump. Well, what you got to lose? Shit, it ain't working. It ain't been working for you. So now what you got to lose? You might as well vote for me.
Block, you said it earlier. If it's that way, and we know kids that's what the coach said, you got to transfer. I mean, that's one of those cases where you have to transfer. You got to roll the dice and bet on yourself.
Right.
And again, as we all said, as parents, we have to put our kids in the best situation possible to succeed. Now, in that case, transferring is the option. And I mean, I couldn't argue with that at all.
Right. And Deloach, what you got on this, man? Because I know, like I said, I've had plenty of conversations with you gentlemen in reference to this. Now you got a kid and a parent is like, hey, I have a coach. I'll put it to you like this. I'll be completely honest with y'all. The reason why I took the head coaching job at Enloe was because the head coach that was there before me, he literally said to those kids in our face in the meeting, I don't recruit kids. And so whatever y'all get is what y'all get. And then next thing you know, he left. So he didn't set any of those kids up for success or to be able to be in a better position. And it pissed me off enough to say, when he left, I want to go ahead and apply for the job because you shouldn't do kids this way. So if you have a coach like that, and you know you have a coach like that, should I sit still or should I start to make some plans? What you think, Deloach?
Come on, I mean, you should make plans. If the coach gonna tell you he don't recruit, he doesn't help kids recruit.
Yes.
Recruiting.
Yeah, like what you get, what you get. Let your film do the talking. The coach that say this, if you're good enough, they'll find you, which I think is the biggest crock of shit ever. There's enough kids out here that they can go find a kid who's more in their face than another kid who may be just as equally talented with no advocacy. Advocacy is key. So that's what I believe. But there are coaches who will say, if you're good enough, they'll find you. I don't.
Can you hold this, please?
It's not going to happen. And then Coach Block, to touch on what you said, let's not forget the biggest recruiters out here are the kids themselves.
Yeah,
because they play together.
Right.
The kids are recruiting each other to come to the schools. That's the biggest. That's the biggest thing. So when we talk about the schools, it's not like a coach. I rarely see a coach go out and recruit a kid. Now, when we have these trenches, you know, when we out here at these camps and you know all these things like that, coaches are out there seeing the kids that's out there. But the parents are also out there saying, "Coach, I've been trying to get a hold of you. I'm thinking about moving my kid to your school. What do you think?" If a coach is real, a coach is going to be like, "Well, I already got a safety over here. I already got a linebacker over here. I would think that, you know, I don't know about you coming over to my school." You know what I mean?
And I think, I hear what you say when parents say that, right? My point is what you just said. People are intentionally trying to relocate their kids for the athletic piece, right? So I guess where does the balance come? Where when is someone gonna have, for some of the kids that I know that transfers, parents want to transfer their kids to achieve a goal. They may have multiple D2 offers or things of that nature, FCS offer, but they want to move because of FBS offer. But the only thing original, but they don't want to hear is when someone says, "I'm sorry, you just don't meet the eye test. You don't run a 4.4. You're not 6'2". You're 5'8", 5'9". You run a 4.6". This why it's different levels to this. Somebody has to have those open and honest conversations. You didn't go to a camp and turn it out. You didn't do that. So since you didn't do that, this is the reality. You're geared to go change the whole dynamic. And you might be a good player, but what you was going to get is what you was going to get anyway. You know, and the fact that you to have a conversation with a high school coach, knowing, because what I guess the older in me that don't want to let go of, it has to mean something to you. Where you go to school at. I think you should.
Go ahead.
The colors that you wear, the jersey that you wear, it should mean something to you. Not I'm going to go over there and chase, you know, winning a football game. You know, not just go back. This is recently. Some of the highlights of those kids' life, my son's junior year, was when they beat Jordan for the conference championship. Because all those guys started together. But then the very next year, a lot of those kids left and went to Jordan. And then to beat Hillside. But how do you feel that? Because if how can you have that conversation with a person moving on in life when you say me and you were cool? But brother, when it was thick and it was tough, you left me.
So let me ask you this now. Let me insert this one, and I want you guys to. I'm trying to do my best sports journalist and not be Coach Block right now, right? So,
Sure.
and honestly, because I'm like Coach Crump, and I believe that the numbers tell a significant story of urgency for these student athletes, right? So I just did the research while everybody was talking. In 2010, in North Carolina, 600 football players from Division I to Division III and NAIA had committed and joined college programs. 600, right? Just last year, we only had 362. So the transfer portal has taken half of the opportunities away from high school students. Knowing that information, does that not create more of a sense of urgency of, I don't have time to be effing around. I got to get up out of here and go at least where, what was that Bible verse where the lady just touched the garment of Jesus.
Garment.
She just got it. Garment. Yeah, she just touched the hem of his garment. Just get me seen. So is there some validity to that when, like I said, I'm looking here now, 622 football players committed or joined college programs at every level, 2009 and 2010. But now, last year, it was only 362.
Well, I think it's a combination. Hold on, Brian, I got you. It's a combination of things because remember when I said when you was going to try to achieve a goal and climb up, and then you're going to end up never playing again? That's playing a role in it because you had opportunities, but because of seeing this, since you brought it up, greed, you want to get that logo, you want to chase and go higher, but you want to go up so high, but you neglected where you was coming from when you had locked in because you was chasing something higher than what you really were.
Okay.
And then because you wanted that so bad that you gave up on what you could have had. And a lot of kids, because let's not forget about the mental health piece on all sides. A lot of these kids, COVID did a number on our kids. And when they can't cope with it, is until people start to gradually say, hey, that's not the wise move to do. You might need to try to address things differently. A lot of these kids, man, can't handle the fact that because we don't reinforce, they don't understand the substance of going D2. It's either D1 or nothing. A lot of kids really think that. And they don't understand that, hey, I'm going to go to school for free just like everybody else. Because just like the same 3% that's going to go to college to play, it's a little less than that going to go on to play professional. So we're all going to be working a job with a college degree at some point anyway. It's only going to be a small few fingers on the hand that's going to play professional ball. But when you bring the money, I think me and Brian talked about this earlier this week, the money is the root of all evil. That's that money piece.
Let's let Mark talk about it, because now, just going back to the point of what started this was, I asked the question, 2010, 2010, there was 600 kids on every level from D1 to D3 NAIA. And now we're at 362 that committed last year and had a home to go to. So clearly, transfer portal and other things have played a significant role. But I do have to agree with Deloach. I have been in a seat at Shaw where people will refuse to call you back because it's Shaw U. I have seen that with other, CIAA coaches where they say, hey, man, we reached out. Kids, they put you on the back burner. So it's not so much about the opportunity to play ball. It's more so about chasing what I see everybody else get. So talk to the point now of what we see, it just in the numbers subtracting, and then also, kids and parents trying to be in that 3%, because at one time it was 8%.
Right. So it's two things in this. I'll touch on the part with the CIAA and those coaches giving out offers. That's going to be another conversation for you, Coach, because I just saw where some coaches came over to Clayton and they maybe only gave out 2 or 3 offers with all the kids that was there. But we'll talk about that later. Yeah. But to your point, everything is a trickle down effect, right? So COVID came in, college coaches recruited different. They recruited different. So if a parent was doing their homework, they understood that the COVID kids weren't going to be out of the way until 2025 and 2026.
Mm-hmm.
Now those COVID kids, those 8-year players, they're getting out of the way. So now the college coaches, they're recruiting a little bit different because the COVID kids out of the way. Now they're about to put in the 5-year rule. So they got to recruit your kid a little bit different now.
Mm-hmm.
That's that. So everything is trickling down when we're talking about the transfer portal.
Mm-hmm.
When we're talking about kids transferring to high school, they got to transfer. Some kids have to transfer to get the exposure because they can play on a D1 level.
Mm-hmm.
They can play on a D1 level. We're not talking about the parents and, the kid not, the grades and, what school are they going to be affiliated with when they have to go to a high school reunion. That's the emotional side of it.
Yeah.
We're talking about business. We're
Okay.
talking about these kids being able to, these parents feeling like some of these kids can change the trajectory of their lives. So
Right.
when you talk about 600 kids going in 2010, you got to look at how many, how the transfer portal messed up. A lot of these kids leaving in 2020, 2022, 2023.
Mm-hmm.
Then the NCAA changed it where they start giving out all this money.
Right.
So when you're looking at these parents, they looking at it like every parent feel like their kid should be a doctor or a lawyer. So if you feel like your kid should be a doctor or a lawyer, the same parent feel like their kid can be an NFL player.
Right. Right. Now, you had mentioned the business, right? I want to talk to the business side. And I want to talk to Coach Crump about this one. And then also Zig, because the way when I ask this question, you understand why, because he's the Wiz of Emerald City. Do these schools, and this is where I get on my soapbox. Let me get on my Malcolm X right now. Do these schools have a responsibility to vet these coaches better, to make these programs better? Because what I see is a lot of bull crap when we hire these coaches in the first place to be able to create the programs that kids need, and then also being able to support the schools in a way that give them the resources that they need. Because a lot of what I'm noticing from the ones where the schools at the top of the food chain, they have more resources, maybe not even better athletes, right? Like, so my biggest argument at Enloe was not, I need kids like Cardinal Gibbons. I needed the resources like Cardinal Gibbons. Don't ask me to compete against a team and they got TV screens. They making adjustments in real time because they got iPads over there on the sideline where they got the huddle assist. They making adjustments right now on the fly. But then they look good. The jerseys is looking good. They got multiple goddamn helmets and all that shit. And then you want me to come out here with my team and play against you, and I got to beg y'all just for jerseys and barely feed my kids. So do we have to do a better job with creating the even playing field for all these schools? Because even as we talk about the West and how Charlotte does things, there's still a pecking order in Charlotte. So I'm going to start with Coach Crump, because even over there, they're still the top of the top, and then everybody else fighting. So do we have to do a better job from the Athletic Association down to better support these schools so that all kids have the opportunity to experience the game the same way, because these schools have the same resources?
Coach Block, I'll say this. You said a whole lot in that moment. But think about this. Mallard Creek is the 5-time state champion in track.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't had a track meet on our field in 5 years.
Right.
So I think it's all about relationships.
Okay.
If I'm a coach at Enloe, I'll look into my alumni that's successful, that done some business things, or even Coach Lavelle Moten at North Carolina Central went to Enloe, if I can remember correctly. Lavelle Moten has so many resources that it just takes a phone call to say, hey, coach, I'm the new coach here. We don't have a lot of the resources that other programs have. How can you help my program access these things? And I think it starts there. You build a relationship with him, just like he built a relationship with Coach K and the Carolina coaches, it's about relationships. A
Mhm.
lot of times people think, oh, the coaches just go to one school. Well, these schools build relationship with the coaches.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so they're able to access and get kids offers. Maybe they're not committable, maybe they are, but they have great relationships. Every high school coach should have a direct rep. Every college coach that come in their building, and don't send them some generic email. Build a
Mhm.
relationship,
Mhm.
because ultimately it's going to help the kids
Mhm.
in the end. And if a kid see where a high school is sending more athletes to bigger programs,
Mhm.
man, that's what you want. Now the game has changed because of the money.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I've seen it firsthand. I know you guys have seen it firsthand. These guys are giving big checks and
Mhm.
paydays, and maybe a kid not as good as they think, but he got the payday.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it's just about building relationships with college coaches, get them in. Hey, I got a kid. I just want you to take a look at. Maybe the kid's not that good, but at least you're building a rapport with them.
Agreed.
Um, it's about relationships for me.
Mhm.
Charlotte area, I think that there's a couple of coaches here that runs this whole Charlotte North and Northeast area, and
Yes.
it's because that coach is. I've been on training fields where a coach called a head coach and said, "Come and get this kid offered," and 5 minutes later he offered the kid, and it's committable.
Yes.
And so, to me, that's relationship based.
Agreed. Agreed. I agree wholeheartedly. And then I'll switch it to Zig because I do believe that Cardinal Gibbons has some of the greatest relationships. I've actually seen this stuff firsthand. Like, I ain't gonna lie to you, I've seen it firsthand of how the network does work in favor of the student athletes. So talk to it, because you've seen things in a private school where people say Cardinal Gibbons shouldn't even be playing, they should be in a private school league. What is the differences that you have seen, even with the advantages of that private school versus the public school system, and then now even just access to resources?
Oh wow, where do I start? So at Cardinal Gibbons and Deloach, you've been a part of this. We have film study for the parents every night. There's an expectation when you play with Cardinal Gibbons that your student athlete's going to be at film study every Saturday morning from 8 to 11.
Mhm.
That's expected. There's an expectation when you're on the field practicing. Hey, Coach Wright can set his watch by what he's going to do. I mean, it's just is a level of expectation that the kids live up to and believe in. But Block, when you was at Enloe, granted you may not have had the same resources, but it speaks to developing a player.
Mhm.
Some of the players at Cardinal Gibbons would not start on a lot of the teams here in the area. I mean, I mean, there have been many when we played Chambers for the first game and in the state championship. You got James Pierce, you got Hollywood playing out in Texas. I
Mhm.
mean, the players were developed, they were disciplined, they played their game. It's the program that
Mhm.
helped make the players good. Um, this is where it becomes frustrating because you have a team that is made, then you have a team that is built. And
Mhm.
there lies a big problem where I have a problem with the transfer portal in high school sports. Block, you spent the time to put into your players. Again, the things that you told how you would just have quiet session just to talk.
Mhm.
I mean, you were able to relate and build relationships with your players. You were able, Cardinal Gibbons has a good relationship in the community, whether it's the Habitat for Humanity or delivering Christmas gifts. They do that. Their kids are visible in the community. The
Mhm.
community recognizes that and they support. Uh that I mean, does that make it an advantage? Does it? I
Yes.
mean, does it make it different? I mean, Block, you did
So,
the same thing.
but I'm
You've
I'm
done
gonna
Gotta
this.
swing it. I'm gonna swing it to Mark in a second, but I'm gonna say it does make it an advantage because literally, I hate that I did it. I took y'all down that road. It almost proves Mark's point, because if my coach is not doing these things, then why the hell am I staying here? Even if I'm an average guy, And if my coach, like Coach Crump said, even if I go to the school and this coach don't have no connections and I see that he don't have no connections, why the hell am I staying here? Like, so what I will say is that's why I always joke about Cardinal Gibbons and I joke about Roseville and all that. God may never bless me with another head coaching job because I would tell people, kiss my ass. If I built my program this way, parents are going to move here because they see the work that I'm doing, right?
Coach
These
So
Block,
if I do this work and I'm in the community and I'm doing all the extras, what do y'all think is going to happen? And
Coach
go
Block,
ahead, go ahead.
I
Go
want to
ahead.
share this with you. So, as a parent, I went to, I think you call it Carolina Insiders here, to where they
Mhm.
have these camps throughout the region or Charlotte, right? And they have all
Mhm.
these coaches there. In the seminar before the camp begins, the instructor and other coaches tell you as a parent, your high school coach job is not to get you recruited. Their job,
I say it all the time.
they have families of them, they own 5, 6 kids, maybe 4 kids. Their
Mhm.
job is to not get you recruited. So you have to get your child recruited. That's what they're saying in the seminar before the camp begins. So I just wanted to throw that out there that
Yeah.
some of these high school coaches live by that. My goal
Yes, they
is
do.
not to get you recruited. My goal is to coach a team. I'm hired for the job. I'm not into recruiting kids. I'm not into putting kids in college. My job is to make you the best football player you can be. Now, whether
Yes.
a coach or a program comes in and say, I like him as a player, that's your relationship. But they are told that coaches are not to get you recruited, to help
I'm
you.
glad you said that, Coach. And I'm gonna spin it to Mark because I said it multiple times. Nowhere in your contract as a high school coach do you have any bullet point box or anything that you got to check off that says it's my job to recruit kids. That is not a part of your job. Your job is to make them the best high school players that you can and hold them accountable for your program. But that recruiting piece is not obligated. So go ahead, Mark. I know you had your hand up. Go ahead and go to your point.
Okay, so I'm gonna talk about what Coach Zig said about the Cardinal Givens piece. So with Cardinal Givens, anybody that knows Cardinal Givens knows that when you go to Cardinal Givens for high school, you got to apply to get in Cardinal Givens in the 9th grade. You can apply in the 9th and the 10th grade, right?
Mhm.
So when you get into Cardinal Givens, that's who Cardinal Givens stuck with when it comes to sports.
Mhm.
So their football program can be built off of developing a kid because those kids are gonna more than likely gonna be there for 4 years.
Mhm.
So they got a weight program. They got the resources that the alumni is putting back into the school. So
Mhm.
yeah, Coach Wright can build those kids that may not be as athletic as the other kid. He can coach that kid to a point to where that kid has been in the program for 4 years.
Mhm.
And they have the resources to be good. They're a well-coached team. We see it
Mhm.
every year, year after year after year.
Yep.
Whereas you have a school like Roseville or Enloe that don't have the resources. Enloe is a magnet school.
Mhm.
Would you agree?
Yeah, it is.
Enloe would be one of the top schools in the state when it comes
Yes.
to basketball, football, whatever sport there is, because if the
You can
right
recruit.
coach is there, they can get those kids into school.
You can recruit.
But
Yes.
they're not focused on sports. They're not focused on sports until a school like Roseville is winning. A school
Mhm.
like Millbrook is winning. Then
Mhm.
they're focused on sports because now it's Roseville and Millbrook, they taking all our good players. You can't have it both ways. Either you're gonna be an academic school or you're gonna focus on sports. That's
Now
what it is.
I don't
that's
think that's block.
I was say that's what the
So-
argument I have. You can do them both. I was on
can
the
do-
path, but they didn't. The school,
Well-
the other powers that be. There's politics that want to see certain schools succeed, and then also with
Yes.
magnet schools, there are a certain amount of seats that are reserved for a certain demographic that's not always athletes. If you can get a
I
coach,
don't want to touch on that because I don't want to get in trouble.
there are some schools, because the moment I figured out how the recruiting process went, and I'll let you go after that, Zig, Deloach.
Deloach.
Once I figured out how the recruiting process went, I said, okay, well then I can get kids into our magnet program. I was looking to get high high academic athletes in, but they looked at me and said, Enloe holds, this is a quote, we hold the most seats for magnet programs in this county. And if you think we're going to fill them up with athletes, you are sadly mistaken. And that took that shit right off the table. So, and then when they did the magnet tours, you never really seen certain people inside those magnet tours. So can it happen? Hell yes. Can you recruit? Hell yes. But you got to have everybody on the same page to get that done. Go ahead, Deloach. I'm sorry.
So, with that being said, when did winning high school football games leave? That's the question I
when
have.
did it leave?
When the
When
money
did it leave?
came in
Because-
play. When
You
the
said
money
what?
came in play, when the money and getting scholarships to send your kid to school for free and the internet came into play, that's when that left.
Agreed.
Everything was off the
Finances
table.
killed it.
Okay.
That's when it was off the table. You guys are looking at it from when a coach had to actually come to your school to recruit you. A coach don't necessarily have to come. How many kids get offers just by a phone call?
It happens
Unless
every
you
day.
you gotta have the right coach for that shit.
You got to have the right coach. But the point I was about to make
That's what I'm
was,
saying, though, Block. How many
the-
kids are getting calls from a school just not even, I'm talking about the big schools.
Yeah.
The Roseville, the Millbrooks,
but see, my
Huffs.
thing is this.
You know what I'm saying?
I guess this
Mine.
is
Yeah.
this is because I can say for me,
Mhm.
one of the things with my child,
Mhm.
he is who he is, and me and Brian talk about this all the time. A lot of the coaches that started the process with him was because a coach from another school said, "Hey, there go your guy over there if you're looking for one." The
Mhm.
point I'm
There you
making
go.
is that can happen
There
at
you go.
so many more schools, and kids don't have to leave and create disruption and take a chance. Going back to what we were talking about earlier, of losing everything, trying to achieve a little thing.
Mhm.
It still can happen because the kid is still the kid. He is athletically who he's gonna be, no matter what uniform he puts on. The athlete is the athlete, whether he wearing whatever uniform or helmet logo it is. He's still the athlete. He
So
doesn't
here,
have to wear a certain uniform to be who he's gonna be.
but here's the thing, though. I think everybody has you unanimously agree on, though, you have to have some form of advocacy for that to even happen.
Yes,
So even if it comes from a coach from another school,
correct.
somebody, as Coach Crump is saying, has to have the relationship. Then once you have the relationship, we go to like Mark, what Mark is saying, somebody got to have the wherewithal as a coach to be able to execute this. And then like Zig at Cardinal Gibbons, then you have to have the program set to have the credibility for people to even be able to buy into what it is that you're doing. There's steps. But certain schools don't have these steps in order. That's why I said, how do we skip sometimes what these coaches are putting out as the product? Like, for example, if I know there's coaches that you'll get a call from a college coach and they say, "Hey man, I'm looking at this guy. Yeah, you got him lined up at corner. Yeah, but we're looking at him at safety." And you got guys that'll be like, "I don't give a damn, you're gonna keep playing corner," and then not ever put him at safety, but he needs safety film. If you don't have guys that are willing to work with these college coaches like this, and I'm about my program, and they're the old school, still putting tobacco in the bottom of their damn jaw and spitting the shit out and all that, and yelling at kids the wrong way. If we're not willing to change with the times as high school coaches, are we doing people a disservice? And I'm gonna take it there because Deloach, one thing that you and I slightly disagree on is when you have a certain style of football that you run in your program, that ain't gonna sell a college coach because we don't do that, and we got to fit this. And so I get what you're saying. So this is where this gray area is, and I don't ever think that we're going to ever have it black or white because we're dealing with people, right? So there's always going to be some exception, but are we creating an environment for these students to be able to succeed athletically for the next level the same way we're doing academically? So for example, the only reason why I keep saying Enloe, because I don't want anybody to think I'm talking specifically about any coach. I'm not doing that. I'm talking about the whole scenario. So I'll talk about me, and then we can go from there. Me as a coach, just as much as I emphasize, okay, we got to change our scheme, we got to do this, we got to do that, we got to make sure we highlight certain players on the field. Off the field, academically, I did the same thing. There's a balance here, because if I make you marketable on the field, but you're not marketable in the classroom, then I've done myself a disservice as well. How many people are putting that level of work in outside of the schools that we consistently see when it's time for playoffs?
So let me ask you this question, Block.
Huh?
You as a high school coach, right?
Yes, sir.
Going back to the scenario you just gave.
Mhm.
If college coach tell you, say, hey, I need to get this guy some safety film, right?
Mhm.
But if you move him to safety, you're gonna lose games. Do you
Mhm.
still make the move, or do you leave him where the team can win?
So that's what I mean about building a program. So who's his number 2? You see what I'm saying? So if I can get him, it may not be a whole game. He just needs some clips, right? So then I know specific games that I might be able to get away with giving him that safety film.
There you go. There you go.
And then
That's what I want.
yeah, because if I like, so let's put it for a specific example. I had this happen. This, the reason why I gave that scenario. NC State was looking at one of my kids, and he said, "Coach, I need that safety film." All right, I got you, but we got Leesville this week, so he ain't getting that. He's our corner. But when we play, Broughton, I got you. All right, coach, that's when I'll show up. But then that takes you to Crump's point of this is relationship building and conversations that you're having with these coaches that is also not obligated by your contract. So if you do see a coach like that, which is going to take you back to Mark's point, if you see a coach who's doing that, is that not attractive to parents? And I'll go ahead.
If you got a kid that threw for 2,000 yards, and then a coach come in and he has a running offense,
he's out of there.
Why wouldn't that kid leave?
He's out of there.
The offense does nothing for that kid.
I would suggest that
he does nothing for that kid.
Honest. Yeah, he's out.
He got to leave.
That's when your research comes in.
Okay,
2,000 yards.
I'm with you. Where does he go, and how does he go about it?
I think Crump just gave that answer.
So,
Crump said, go ahead, Coach Crump. You said what?
That's when you do the research. I mean, you can find a program that can use that kid. Might not be where he might not be the level, but you want to show that you can throw the ball. You do your research, do your due diligence. You look around. I mean, for me, that's crazy to go into. I'm a passing quarterback, and I'm going to where we just run into option or wing T.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You just don't. I mean, you got to make the best decision for your kid.
Right. Now we've been on longer than a damn movie, y'all. Just letting y'all know we about an hour and 40 minutes of great conversation, and I want to do it again. But I also want to make sure we wrap this up and kind of have some form of unity, because we don't have to necessarily agree, but I do think we also are, as people who are in this with these kids, whether it be our own or others that have watched and stayed with us, because we've had a decent audience that have stayed with us, there needs to be a coherent message. And I'll let you guys go first, and then I'll close it out. So Coach Crump, since you got the main screen, I'll let you go. Give me a coherent message from what we've talked about that the parents can hang their hat on if they sit down and watch this podcast and say, I'm still confused, but what should I do? What would be your closing words?
My closing words would be know your son skill set, be honest with your child, and do your research and make the best decision for your child possible.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I like it. Deloach, we'll start from the top and then work our way down. Deloach, what you got? Final words for a parent. And they're confused. I don't know what to do. I just know that what I'm doing right now or what I see ain't working for my kid. What's your final words?
Try to find the happy medium. Look at what the worst can happen versus the best that can happen, and where can you fit everything in to fit the need of your child and your family situation. Consider everything that could possibly take place before making that decision, and try to not make a emotional decision, but a realistic decision, and operate within the guidelines of the rules that's set out in front of you.
Agreed. Okay. Zig, you're up next, man. Parent
Oh
come to
man.
you and parent says, "Hey, man, I don't know what to do. I just know what's happening right now for my son ain't working." What's your final words?
Coach Block, we have a lot of conversations. Me and the gentleman online now. I think parents need to come together. Let's create an advocacy group to help the students. Let's create an outreach. Let's create a recruiting path so that it doesn't always fall on the program. Let the parents know that, hey, you can reach out to this recruiting service here locally, these parents as resources, and we can help each other. That way we can keep, I guess, the storied teams together. You don't have to transfer. There's other avenues to help you and your child get to where you want.
All right.
That's my vision, or that's what I would like to see happen.
Okay.
I would like to sit down and talk to like-minded parents.
Mhm.
I will say that this forum here, again, speaking to Brother Bryant, Deloach and I always talk. It's good to hear other ideas. That way, I'm not so closed-minded and I'm educated. This has been a very good discussion for me. So again, I appreciate you having this, Block. I look forward to the next one.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do this. Keep this a consistent thing with the dads on the panel. What you got, Mark?
So if a parent come to me and ask me, I'm gonna tell them, if you feel like your kid can go to another school and they can make it happen, hey, go get your kid in school.
Mhm.
It ain't, just go get your, just the bottom line. If you feel like your kid got what it take, because when these kids go off to college, the world ain't, college is totally different. You want iron to sharpen iron. So, and the world is not going to be kind to you. So if a parent is worried about a kid coming in, taking their kid place, then that kid got to work harder. And if a parent want their kid to go to another school and that kid can get it done, I'm all for it, if it's done the right way.
Understandable. And I agree with what everybody said, all the men that's up here. And I want to also tell you all, First and Goal 365 itself has gone through the process to be a part of the NCAA recruiting services. We have followed the bylaws. I've shown that whole thing that we're allowed to say as far as First and Goal 365. With that being said, I need you all to keep an eye out, because I believe in advocacy. And I don't necessarily always think it comes from the coach that you may be specifically connected to. I know personally myself as a coach, I have sent other coaches to other schools at times, but I know that doesn't always work. But I am working on, or actually it's already created. I showed Zig. I have a community. It's a free community that I want us to start to get into. I have some beta testing that I will be sending out to certain parents and players and coaches as well, to where now we can control our narrative. The biggest thing from tonight that I take from everybody who has said that is that it is not one single way to get this done. And the more people that you can have educated conversation, I don't mean ignorant conversation because somebody don't like a coach and all that. I mean educated conversation because they've been through that process or they're going through that process, and they can share with you their experiences of what they are doing or what they have done. We need that to happen in this area, so that now when a certain coach is having conversations, hey, coach, you might want to check out this kid at this school. You might want to check out that. And we control that narrative. I promise you, sitting on the other side of the table as a college coach, I don't care who tells me about the kid. I just need to know about the kid. And you'll learn that if the information comes in and somebody shoots a highlight tape, hey, take a look at this kid, most of the time they'll open it up. That's why I tell players you have about 3 to 5 good plays to get the interest, because once they do look at you and they're interested, they're going to make that phone call to your coach. Okay, so what we need to do, though, and what we're going to work on doing, and I'm going to keep these conversations going on as long as these gentlemen would love to continue to do it, we're going to make sure that we create this community. And inside of this community, we will have the resources that you need to be able to see your student athlete accomplish their goals and be able to control your own narrative. So once again, I thank everybody who is on this panel today. This was great. This, I mean, it didn't even feel like it, but we've been on for an hour and 45 minutes. So I ain't gonna make this an episode of The Roots. We're gonna go ahead and close this thing down, but make sure that you guys stay tuned in. If you need any type of assistance, please reach out to any of these gentlemen that you have here. If there's any further questions, you can DM me. Everybody's name is here. Go ahead and DM them in their inboxes. If you want to rewatch this, you can rewatch it on YouTube. It'll be live, or Facebook at Coach Block, and then also Facebook, First and Goal 365. So with that being said, as I always say, please don't compare, compete. Guys, stay on 1 second. I'm going to end the stream.